brand new video on the channel, and today, instead of doing a classic gameplay video, I'm actually going to be going over and discussing the character arc of Joseph Wilford. So without further ado, let's get started. So let's start off with the basics we know about Wilford. We know that he was an engineer and the founder of Wilford Industries, and he used to host long parties that often lasted days aboard Snowpiercer back when it was in development. So let's talk about some of the other stuff, So starting off, he seems to be around near his 40s, so presumably he was born in the 80s, I'd say 81. We also know that he's a very sadistic man, He'll put his reputation and control over people, before human lives so that he can keep reputation, maintain control over Snowpiercer and Big Alice. But he wasn't like that. I mean, he was still like that, but let me explain. He wasn't always like that on Snowpiercer. I'm pretty sure he grew up a normal boy, and, he just got interested in trains and started building his empire. Now, my theory, kind of, whatever, is that, as he, went up and grew the ranks, he became an introvert, kept away from his family, from his friends, so he could focus more on his business, start building it up, make an empire. And that's when he met Ruth and Melanie. And he decided, hey, these guys are pretty cool. Why don't we go ahead and build a train, So him and Melanie, they start planning out the Wilford Industries Dreamliner. Everything's going good. It's going great. But Melanie has, Alex later on. And it sort of becomes a problem for Wilford because, he was planning for it to just be him and Mel. Leading the train, having parties. But he never really cared about saving humanity during the conversion of Snowpiercer from a Dreamliner to an Ark. And we know that he really didn't care because he only arranged ticket sales and security, and he actually removed some of Mel's geneticists for jackboots. And Mel only got some of her geneticists back, 6, after she traded with Wilford for 6 geneticists for jackboots. But later on, Wilford killed those 6 geneticists before departure and their families. And also before departure, back when they were in the night car still building, Mel was, going off at Wilford about how he really didn't care about any of this. And he threatened Mel's family, which was her breaking point. At departure, we know that after he killed the geneticists, he went down train in an attempt to find Alex because she still hadn't boarded, as an attempt to fix his relationship with Melanie, which obviously didn't work because they left him behind. Now, 7 years back when they couple, and Doc, we can see that he's sort of the same, but he's more of a laid-back man. Still very evil, but just not as evil. And I believe that his character's calmness, is due to his obsession with cannabis. On Big Alice, he grows and maintains the supply of it, and he regularly uses it and can be often seen smoking with it, so I largely think that he's not as bad as he was back before the freeze because of this. Now, Wilford does generally respect Melanie on a mutual competitive basis, despite the fact that she left him to die, and even told Alex on multiple occasions that she was the best driver he'd seen. Now, as for his relations with Alex, he doesn't make a lot of attempts or effort to hide his true self around her, even telling her to disconnect and reverse from Snowpiercer, leaving almost 3,000 people to die. Which obviously didn't work out because Melanie had previously placed a sticky charge on the docking mechanism. But later on in the season, Alex begins to lose faith in Wilford, so Wilford begins excluding her from his activities in life, at one point even locking her out of the engine. To which she turns to Sykes and asks what's going on. However, Alex fully turns on Wilford in episode 10 Into the White when she informs the fugitive Leighton and Ruth of a secret entrance into the control car, allowing them to speak to Javi during Wilford's absence. Wilford also tends to show competition to Leighton, but also respect, calling him a good leader, but also saying he won't last long. And once, Leighton said to his face, "Fragile, powerful men like you froze the earth in the first place. And you'll always have your little followers, but the majority will never love you like you want them to." Which set Wilford off towards Leighton. But what can we really learn from this? I wouldn't argue that we can learn much from this, as it's all very basic, foundational information. But I can say that Wilford is definitely less than he was back before the freeze. Like I said back when I was discussing, he is definitely more laid back. He's not as evil. He's not threatening to kill anybody or their families or leave them behind. Although he did tell Alex he was going to leave her trackside, but and he's more of that person who you'd see at parties, They're wild and competitive, but once you really get to know them, they're like, I don't know really how to put it, but it's more of the person who usually sits quiet at parties. They stay behind and don't talk to anybody, but if you were to be friends with them, you'd learn that they aren't who they seem at all. They're a different person. And that's largely Wilford, He keeps up a public image. I mean, his weakness is being in public. I mean, that's how Melanie and Leighton were able to get him to, accept the mission of booting up Breslauer. Because if he said no, he would have lost a lot of support. So bringing him out in public was his number one weakness. He's a cunning man. You can't really trust him if you talk in private. Now, so far there's currently no fall of Wilford, but from the Season 3 leaks of him telling to get to battle stations and various clips of him screaming, we can tell that things in Season 3 might not end well for Wilford. That's all I really have to say. So, I'll see you guys next time. Would like to close it off by thanking you for watching the very first episode of the Snowpiercer story. This is a good series, and I'm really looking forward to keeping it going. See you soon.